For over 1,000 years, the Vatican has guarded secrets that could shatter everything you believe. Beneath the marble floors of Rome lies a labyrinth containing 53 miles of shelving, 35,000 volumes of catalogues, and documents dating back to the 8th century. Most of these papers have never been seen by anyone outside the church. Why? What are they hiding? Kings have begged to see them. Scholars have dedicated entire lives trying to gain access, and the few who have entered came out changed forever. Hidden truth, buried secrets. Today, we're going to explore 7 secrets that leaked from the Vatican's most protected vault. And what you're about to learn, the Church never wanted you to know. The Forbidden Vault. The Vatican's secret archives. Even the name sends shivers down your spine. But here's something most people don't know. The word secret in the original Latin secretum doesn't mean hidden. It means private, personal, belonging to one person, the Pope. For centuries, only the Pope and his most trusted advisors could enter this vault. In 1881, Pope Leo XIII finally opened a small portion to selected researchers. But even today, less than 1% of the archives has been fully examined. The waiting list to gain access stretches for years, and even when scholars get in, they can only request documents by name, meaning you have to already know what you're looking for. The past is never dead. It's not even past. There are rooms in the Vatican that haven't been opened in 500 years. Shelves filled with letters from Michelangelo, Galileo, and Napoleon. Trial records from the Inquisition. Papal bulls that changed the course of nations. And somewhere in those 53 miles of documents, secrets that could rewrite history itself. But what exactly have researchers discovered when they finally got inside? Galileo's trial. In 1633, Galileo Galilei stood before the Roman Inquisition. His crime? Claiming that the earth revolved around the sun. The official church position was clear: the earth was the center of God's creation. To say otherwise was heresy. For nearly 350 years, the actual trial documents remained locked away in the Vatican archives. When scholars finally gained access in 1979, what they found shocked the academic world. The trial wasn't just about science versus religion. It was deeply personal. Pope Urban Roman VIII, once Galileo's friend and supporter, had turned against him. Why? Some documents suggest Galileo had mocked the Pope in one of his writings, putting the Pope's arguments in the mouth of a simpleton character. The trial records reveal something darker than a philosophical disagreement. Galileo was shown the instruments of torture. He was threatened with execution. At 69 years old, in failing health, he was forced to kneel and recant everything he knew to be true. Silenced, but legend says that as he rose from his knees, he whispered, "And yet it moves." If this hidden history changed your perspective, hit like and subscribe for more secrets the powerful don't want you to know, because what comes next is even more disturbing. Letters from Kings. Deep in the archives lies a collection that reads like a who's who of history's most powerful figures. Letters from Napoleon begging the Pope to crown him emperor. Correspondence from Abraham Lincoln during the Civil War. But perhaps the most scandalous collection belongs to King Henry Roman VIII of England. Before he broke from the Catholic Church and started his own religion, Henry desperately wanted the Pope's approval. He needed an annulment from Catherine of Aragon so he could marry Anne Boleyn. The Vatican still holds his original letters, pleading, flattering, and eventually threatening. Desperation, power, betrayal. But here's what most people don't know. Henry Roman VIII once wrote a theological treatise defending the Pope against Martin Luther. It was so impressive that the Pope gave him the title Defender of the Faith. Decades later, that same king would execute anyone who remained loyal to Rome. The Vatican kept every letter, every broken promise, every contradiction. As the philosopher Seneca once observed, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Henry wasted years begging for permission he would eventually just take by force. But these royal letters are nothing compared to what else the archives contain. Templar Secrets. October 13th, 1307. Friday the 13th. On this day, King Philip Roman IV of France ordered the mass arrest of the Knights Templar. Within weeks, the most powerful military order in Christendom was destroyed. Templars were tortured into confessing to heresy, blasphemy, and dark rituals. Their Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, was burned alive in Paris. For 700 years, the full trial records were thought to be lost. Then, in 2001, a Vatican researcher made an extraordinary discovery. Hidden among unrelated documents was the Chinon parchment, proof that Pope Clement V had secretly absolved the Templars of heresy in 1308. The Pope knew they were innocent, but King Philip needed their wealth to pay his debts, and so the Church sacrificed them. The Chinon parchment lay buried in the archives for centuries. Whether by accident or design, no one knows. Sometimes the truth survives only because it was forgotten. But the Templars weren't the only ones whose fate was sealed by documents hidden in Rome. And speaking of hidden fates, what the archives reveal about entire civilizations is even more unsettling. Stolen lands. In 1493, just 1 year after Columbus reached the Americas, Pope Alexander VI issued a document that would reshape the entire world. It's called Inter Caetera, and it's still in the Vatican archives. This single papal bull drew a line across the Atlantic Ocean. Everything west of that line belonged to Spain. Everything east to Portugal. Millions of indigenous people woke up one morning to discover they no longer owned their land. They had no idea a man in Rome had given away their entire world. The doctrine of discovery, as it came to be known, was used to justify 5 centuries of colonization. It declared that any lands not inhabited by Christians were available to be claimed, and their people conquered. Conquest, division, empire. Remarkably, this doctrine was cited in American law as recently as 2005. Indigenous groups have repeatedly asked the Vatican to formally revoke these documents. For centuries, the Church was silent. Only in 2023 did the Vatican finally repudiate the doctrine of discovery. But the documents themselves remain in the archives, evidence of a decision that altered the course of human civilization. And those archives hold records of something even more personal. Inquisition files. The word Inquisition conjures images of torture chambers and burning stakes, and the Vatican archives contain the receipts. Thousands of trial records spanning nearly 700 years of investigations. Heretics, witches, scientists, Jews who secretly practiced their faith, anyone who dared to think differently. In 1998, Pope John Paul II opened portions of these archives to researchers for the first time. What they found challenged some assumptions, but confirmed others. The torture protocols were meticulously documented. The Church kept careful records of exactly which methods were permitted, how long they could be applied, and at what point confession became unreliable. There were rules, bureaucracy, forms filled out in triplicate while people screamed. Man is the cruelest animal. One researcher found the case of a woman accused of witchcraft in 1428. Her crime: healing sick animals with herbal remedies. The transcript records her final words before execution. The Vatican kept it all, every name, every accusation, every sentence carried out in God's name. Documented, but perhaps the most chilling secrets aren't about the past at all. Prophecy letters. In 1917, 3 young shepherd children in Fatima, Portugal, claimed to see visions of the Virgin Mary. She gave them 3 secrets, prophecies about the future. The first 2 were revealed relatively quickly, predicting World War II and the rise of communist Russia. But the third secret of Fatima was sealed in the Vatican archives for decades. Speculation ran wild. Did it predict nuclear war, the end of the Church, the apocalypse itself? When the Vatican finally released it in 2000, many were disappointed. It described a bishop in white being killed by soldiers, interpreted as the 1981 assassination attempt on Pope John Paul II. But here's where it gets strange. Questions, doubt, mystery. Several people who saw the original document insist there was more. Cardinal Ratzinger, before he became Pope Benedict XVI, admitted the published text came from a 4-page document, but the original envelope Sister Lucia gave the Vatican held a single sheet. Some researchers believe part of the third secret was never released. The Vatican denies this, but once you lose trust in an institution that kept secrets for 1,000 years, can you ever fully believe them again? Nazi connections. Perhaps no secret has haunted the Vatican more than its relationship with Nazi Germany. For decades, Pope Pius XII was accused of silence during the Holocaust. Critics called him Hitler's Pope. Defenders said he worked secretly to save Jewish lives. The truth, whatever it may be, lies in the archives. In 2020, Pope Francis opened the wartime archives to researchers. What they're finding is complicated. History is never as simple as heroes and villains. Some documents show Vatican officials helping Jewish refugees escape. Others reveal silence when speaking out might have saved thousands. There are letters to and from Nazi officials, records of deals made in the shadows, and evidence that some church leaders helped Nazi war criminals escape to South America after the war through what historians call the rat lines. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. Researchers estimate it will take years to fully examine all the documents from this period alone. Every month brings new discoveries, new controversies, new questions about what the most powerful religious institution on earth did or failed to do during humanity's darkest hour. But what connects all these secrets is something even more profound. Erased Gospels. What if everything you know about Christianity was edited? The Bible as we know it was assembled centuries after Christ's death. Church councils decided which texts were sacred and which were dangerous. The rejected books, called the Apocrypha, were ordered destroyed, but some survived. And yes, the Vatican has them. Gospels that tell a very different story. The Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, the Gospel of Judas. These texts present Jesus as a teacher of mystical wisdom rather than just a savior who died for sins. They suggest Mary Magdalene was a leader among the apostles, not a reformed prostitute. They even hint that Judas was following Jesus' own instructions when he betrayed him. Hidden gospel, forbidden truth. Why were these texts suppressed? The early church fathers claimed they were forgeries. Later discoveries, like the Nag Hammadi Library in 1945, proved many were just as ancient as the accepted Gospels. The Vatican's position is that these texts are interesting historical documents but not divinely inspired. Still, they keep them, they study them, and they've never allowed full public access. What are they protecting? Perhaps it's not what the texts say, but what they make people question. Eternal mysteries. We've only scratched the surface. 53 miles of shelving, millions of documents, centuries of correspondence between the most powerful people who ever lived, and less than 1% has been fully examined. 1. Letters from every major historical figure. 2. Trial records of thousands condemned. 3. Maps that changed how we see the world. 4. Prophecy still sealed away. 5. Truths we may never be allowed to see. Some researchers estimate it would take thousands of scholars hundreds of years to read everything in the Vatican archives. Most of it may never be studied at all. The greatest secrets are the ones no one knows to look for. Think about that. Somewhere in those vaults might be answers to questions we haven't even thought to ask. Letters that would revolutionize our understanding of history. Documents that would challenge everything we believe. Truths that have waited in darkness for centuries. 3 things cannot be long hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. The Vatican has proven that some things can be hidden for a very, very long time. But eventually, every secret finds its way to light. The only question is, what else is waiting to be discovered? For over 1,000 years, the Vatican has been the ultimate gatekeeper of human history. They've decided what we know about our past, our faith, and ourselves. They've hidden trials that condemned innocent people. They've sealed prophecies that predicted our future. They've guarded gospels that might change everything we believe. Power, control, knowledge, secrets. But here's the truth that should terrify every institution built on secrecy. We live in an age where nothing stays hidden forever. Every year, researchers gain access to documents that were sealed for centuries. Every decade brings revelations that would have been unthinkable before. The walls are coming down, the vaults are opening, and what we're finding inside is that the people who claim to speak for God made very human mistakes. They lied. They manipulated. They destroyed what they couldn't control. The truth will set you free, but first it will make you uncomfortable. The Vatican archives remind us that power always seeks to control the narrative. But they also prove something beautiful, that truth has a way of surviving, in dusty parchments, in forgotten corners, in the courage of those who keep searching. If you made it this far, comment archives unlocked to prove you're among the few who dare to question what you've been told. The truth is never comfortable, but it's always worth knowing. History has more secrets to reveal. Subscribe if you want to be there when they surface. Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant.